everybody. I'm Delegate Ken Plum. Welcome to our show, Virginia Report. Tonight we're going to return to our favorite topic, the environment, and we're going to talk about someone who's given a lot of thought about how we might respond to some of our environmental challenges. We're going to look at solar and its potential use, not just as an adjunct to your electric supply system, but maybe as a whole support for our industrial effort. With me tonight is from Richmond, Virginia, Bert Green. Bert, welcome.
Hey.
You run a place called Solar Mill. Tell us about that.
Solar Mill is a sustainable manufacturing company, and we are focused on making our own line of consumer products. And what we do that's unique is we run all of our machinery completely off the grid on solar energy we generate ourselves on site.
That's pretty ambitious. I thought solar was just kind of an adjunct, and you're saying it's the source of your energy.
Entirely, yeah. There are a few other businesses in the U.S. that are buying a portion of their energy from their utility companies, either wind or solar, and there are an increasing number of people that are installing solar on their houses and businesses, but very few are taking on the challenge of trying to run completely independently on solar. And there are some challenges to that. There is the risk of running out of it at some point, and that's one of the challenges that we're dealing with, is learning how to work with those limited resources. And it really pushes us to pursue the highest levels of efficiency and be creative about solving problems.
Now, we want to make sure people understand that when you were talking about running out, you were talking about running out at your industry, not that the sun's going to run out.
Right, yeah, and that's actually
burn it out.
That's what's great about solar, is that we don't have to worry about running out of the sun.
Right.
But when you are completely off the grid, which is a choice that we do that, there is certain situations, like extended periods of time where it's been cloudy for 3 or 4 days, that you might run low on your battery bank, and it changes your operations a little bit. We actually find that that happens very rarely, and we plan ahead. One of the things that I like about what we're doing is that we do pay attention to the weather. We watch the forecasts, and we use that to manage our operations. And you kind of think about it, most businesses these days are so disconnected from nature and so disconnected from the environment that little things like the weather don't affect what they're doing at all, neither good nor bad. But we actually are trying to be more interactive with what's going on in nature.
When we talk about alternative sources of energy and so on, and you've given thought to this, I know, how does solar rank among the possible alternatives we have for the future as we try to become more carbon-free and move away from what's been, coal plants and those sorts of things? How big a role should solar play in that?
A really big role. I mean, your big three are wind, solar, and hydro. And they all have their pros and cons, and frankly, we need to be using all of them. But what I've learned is that wind is best applied on a utility scale. Really big turbines way up in the air, giant rotors. That's when you get the biggest efficiency out of wind. It's a lot more challenging to get the best return out of wind if you just put a little tiny pinwheel on your house.
Right.
What's great about solar is that it scales a lot more linear than wind does. Solar gives you the same return whether it's one little panel on your house or whether it's an entire field of panels covering a desert. So that's why we've chosen to do solar, is that it's easy to add on and expand to it, and it gives us the same level of efficiency on a small scale as it does on a large scale.
You being Solar Mill, you are in the manufacturing business.
Right, and that's the thing is sometimes people, they hear Solar Mill and they think that we're making solar panels.
Right.
Not yet,
No.
maybe one day we will. But we wanted to figure out how to make solar tangible. So many people, they hear about solar, they hear about wind, and they think about it in terms of dollars and cents, but there's no tangible connection of what can be done with that.
Right.
And so I wanted to make a product. And the closest correlation that I can find is that in the Middle Ages, we had all these windmills across Europe that were milling grain and wheat and making flour. And so the wind would blow and you would have a product that you could put into a bag and you'd sell it to your customer, and that was made with wind. And I wanted to take that same idea of a windmill and do that with solar and say, here's a product that I made. This product was made with solar. No one else is really doing that, and I've yet to find anyone that is really selling a product that says this was made using solar energy, 100% solar energy. And so we have our own little line. We make coasters, cutting boards, cell phone cases. I actually have an example.
Yeah, hold that up, take a look at it.
This is a cell phone case that we make. It's for the iPhone 5, and it's using very earth-friendly materials. The front part of it is this really cool material called Richlight, which is compressed layers of paper.
Oh my God.
And it's FSC certified, it's renewable. And then the back portion of the case is machined out of a solid piece of teak. So it's a real wood, and it's been CNC machined. And a lot of people, they're not familiar with CNC, but everybody knows what a 3D printer is.
Right.
A CNC is like a 3D printer in reverse. You take a piece of material and then you cut away.
Okay.
And so this has been carefully carved to precisely fit the phone. And what we have, the machine that makes this, is, to the best of my knowledge, the world's first off-grid solar-powered CNC machine.
CNC is kind of like a milling machine.
It's exactly a milling machine.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
And a milling machine runs off an electric motor. The question is, when you plug in that electric motor, where does the juice come from?
Right.
And for you, it's not coming from a power plant somewhere else. It's coming off your roof out of your solar panels.
Exactly. It's not coming from coal. It's not coming from oil or natural gas. It's coming from sunshine.
Yeah.
You know, we have a nice sunny day and we make products.
And now let's talk this through so folks will understand how this management works. On a cloudy day, it doesn't happen, or does it?
It happens a little less. So we have batteries, and we can manage our energy. So ideally what I try to do is I run the machinery while it's sunny. And in those situations, the sunlight actually goes right through the charge controller and directly into the machinery. And so we're taking that energy and we're putting it right into the product. On a cloudy day, we dip into our battery bank a little bit. And it really just depends how much we need to do, how deep we go into the battery bank. And there's all these other things that you need to do in a business as well: bookkeeping, shipping, finishing. And so what we can do is kind of rearrange our work week a little bit based on the weather. And so I've known all week long it was going to be cloudy this weekend. So earlier this week when it was sunny, we built up a lot of inventory. You know, I made some product, I cut out a lot of stuff using the CNC machine. And then now this weekend, I can do things like sanding, oiling, finishing, packaging. All that stuff's manual labor. So while it's cloudy, I can be doing the work. When it's sunny, the machines can be doing the work.
Wonderful. Now, I have always trouble talking about kilowatts and all that to be able to visualize. When you talk about panels on your place of business, how many panels do you have? How much power does that generate? How would that equate to, say, electricity for a home and all those kind of things? Help us visualize, if you will, what the solar array is and how much juice you get out of it. Okay.
For the tech nerds out there, I have 2.3 kilowatts of solar. It's 9 panels, and it's actually, that's not a lot. My machinery is extremely efficient. If you take, for example, your household vacuum cleaner that you would use for vacuuming, that draws about 1,600 watts when it's running. I can run my entire CNC operation for 1,000 watts. So a little bit more than half of the electricity to run a vacuum cleaner, I can run the commercial machinery that it takes for me to make this phone. So it's extremely efficient.
So you've done 2 things here. You've looked at ways to save energy, as well as look at alternative sources of energy.
Right.
And so when what did you do in that machine to make it more efficient?
I rewired the control systems. There's a lot of loss when you convert from DC to AC to DC to AC. Like, there's a lot of back and forth. And when you go to the store and you just, or go to your equipment supplier and just buy something off the shelf, you know, everything has power supplies inside of it. And then your generation stuff has power supplies inside of it. So you're going from one power supply to another, and there's all this loss. What I did is I redesigned the machine from scratch so that it pretty much goes directly from the battery bank to the motors with the bare minimum of conversion in the process. And I know that probably sounded a little technical for some, but
I guess when in the other system you used up some of the electricity at each one of those points, and if you reduce those points, it goes direct, you use less of it.
Yeah. Basically, you're cutting out the turbulence. You know, you're just making it as streamlined as possible.
See, I can understand this technical talk.
Yeah.
Okay, get it down to simple language. But now, the cell phone case is appropriate because the cell phone is one of the technologies that indispensable these days. Everybody needs to have one. Talk about some other kinds of products that you're making.
We also make cutting boards, and that's one of our biggest sellers. Everybody's got to eat.
Yeah.
You know, everybody enjoys cooking.
Right.
And what I found is that with the demographic of people that really value renewable energy and also are concerned about sustainability, that demographic more than any other does particularly like to cook at home. they're less likely to be into fast food or going out to restaurants to eat. So I tried to find a product that both matched the story of what I'm doing and the kind of customer that would be interested in that story. And cutting board is just right down the center, something that everybody needs and wants. And more than anything else, with the kind of thing that I'm doing, there's such a good story behind it. It's so unique and interesting, is that it makes a great gift item. Right. Because if you have an aunt in San Francisco that you know loves gardening, she loves cooking, she really cares about the environment, this is a product that you could buy her for, Christmas, Mother's Day, any kind of holiday or birthday, and it just shows that you're being really thoughtful because you know her well enough that you know that that's the kind of thing that she would like.
And what machinery do you use in terms of making cutting boards? What kind of machinery is involved with that?
It starts off with the same CNC machine that I use for the cell phone, which is the CNC router, and that cuts out the blank of wood and it puts the drip groove into it. And we actually now have gotten into doing custom shapes, so we could cut one out in the shape of your state or a pig or a chicken.
I've seen your Virginia one. It's very nice.
Yeah, so that's one thing that's great about this kind of machinery is it can do all kinds of complicated curves. And so it comes off the machine, but it's still a blank at that point. It's got some rough edges.
Right.
And so then it goes to a pretty traditional wood shop at that point. We have belt sanders, we have trim routers, we have profile sanders, and then there's still a fair amount of handwork. No matter how much we try to automate the process, one of the things that gives us such good quality is that there's still a person involved in making sure that all the edges are blended and smooth, and then it gets oiled very carefully before it gets shipped out.
And you're considerate in terms of the woods you choose also.
Yes, we only use FSC certified, and FSC is the Forestry Stewardship Council, and that they basically make sure that the wood is being supplied from a managed forest. So you're not just going in and clear cutting and walking away. It's basically you're taking care of the land and you're harvesting it in a responsible manner. So we make sure that we're using good sources for our wood. We also use bamboo, which is a wonderful resource because it grows so quickly.
Right. Now, people may choose because they need a gift idea or they themselves want to be sustainable in their choices, consider the environment, so they can go to a website, I bet you, and order what you're doing.
Yeah, they could check out our website, solarmill.com.
Yeah.
And we have all of our products listed on the website. We also are available for sale on Amazon. Okay. Amazon is actually our biggest sales channel. We compete with all the other major cutting boards, and we're one of the highest rated, highest reviewed cutting boards on Amazon. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but one of the things that's really cool about the packaging of our cutting boards is it's a biodegradable paper label that has seeds in it. And you can actually plant the label, and if you water it, it'll sprout and grow into a garden. So it's just start to finish. It's made in the USA using solar-powered machinery with a renewable material and a label that you can plant and grows into a garden.
I love it. Can't beat that.
Yeah.
And as you say, for gift purposes, for people who are concerned about the environment, it's natural. Can you actually purchase from you directly, or do you go through Amazon to do that?
Both.
Okay, you can do both.
Yes,
Either
you can
way.
purchase from our website, solarmill.com, or you can go to Amazon and search for Solar Mill. One word, Solar Mill. Okay. Yeah.
Now, did we run down the major products? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, coasters. Well, we didn't talk about the coasters, but they're coasters.
They're coasters.
It's a darn good coaster.
Okay, good. And does it match up with the cutting board or whatever, or is it in this unique design?
We got a couple of different designs. We have a round one, we have a square one, and we are using the same material on those that we do for the front of the cell phone case, which is that compressed paper product.
Oh, yeah.
And when you think about compressed paper, I hope people don't think about particle board, where it gets wet and starts to fall apart.
Right.
This is very different than that. This is extremely compressed with a lot of resin, and it's completely waterproof. You can run this thing through the dishwasher. You could soak it in a swimming pool. It's never going to chip or swell or crack. So it's going to last forever. And that's one thing that's really important about sustainability. Is that you don't want a product that is disposable, right? Or if it is disposable, you want something that's very neutral. But one of the best ways to be sustainable is to have durable products that last a lifetime.
Now, I'm not familiar with that material. Where is that produced?
It's made in America. It's made in America by the Richlight Corporation in Washington State, and they actually developed it in the 1950s for the aerospace industry. So they've been making it in America for 65 years, and we chose them as a supplier because we want to work with other American companies.
Right. So it really, that black thing that we got around there, that's actually a paper.
Yeah, it's compressed paper. But it starts off as individual layers of paper.
Recycled paper, or
they have a couple different lines, and their R50 line is 50% recycled. So they do have a recycled product within their catalog, and it comes in all kinds of different colors. And you know what they use it a lot for? Skateboard parks.
Oh my goodness!
Because you can actually, when you have a large sheet of it and it's thin, you can flex it and bend it to a curve.
Oh yeah.
So they'll build out a skateboard park where they'll use like 2x4s to do all the structure underneath, and then they'll flex these large sheets of Ridgelite down to that and make a nice smooth curve, and it's the best material for skateboard parks.
Apparently it has lots of strength then.
Very strong material. I love working with it because it machines excellently. It holds wonderful levels of detail. You know, you can use all the milling bits that I would normally use for wood or aluminum, I can use on this. It doesn't dull the bits. You can etch tiny little lines into it. You can cut large grooves. It's just a wonderful material to work with, and very environmental.
Are you doing anything by way of custom work? I mean, in terms of once you have your router, do you customize any of the boards or anything? Are the cases for, say, a corporate company or whatever for large orders?
Yeah, we do. We do custom orders, especially for corporate. A lot of the customization there is with the laser engraving. And I hadn't touched on that yet, but we have a laser engraver, and our laser engraver also runs on solar power. All of our machinery runs on solar power. So we start with our cutting board and use that as a canvas. And then you can send us artwork, and if you wanted it to say Delegate Plum on it, we could engrave that on your cutting board. Or if you want to say happy 50th anniversary to, you know, someone that you know, we can put whatever message you want on the cutting boards, and that's a very easy way to customize it. We also can do the custom shapes, but the laser engraving is a lot easier to do and a lot faster.
The demand of a laser on your electric supply, is that substantial?
It's worse than the machine, because if I had built the laser, it would be better. You know, I was mentioning the machine earlier that I said was so efficient. I built that machine from scratch, and that's how I was able to get that very, very high level of efficiency. The laser engraver that I have was one that we bought, and it actually uses 40–50% more electricity than my CNC machine, which is crazy in my mind, because with my CNC, I'm actually cutting and running bits and moving material, and the laser's just etching and scratching the surface. But it wasn't designed to be ultra efficient. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement there.
Now, what do we do to take this idea that you have and scale it up to where it's major manufacturing, furniture, whatever the company might be? Do you see a future for that? Are you talking to people who might be interested in how you can use solar power for more manufacturing?
Oh yeah, we're definitely headed in that direction. We ourselves are going to continue to grow as a manufacturing company, and we also would like to be able to consult to other people and help show them what we've learned, both the good and the bad, what we've learned from experience, and basically consult and help point people in the right direction. I feel strongly that this is something that I don't want to be the only person doing this. Like, it's nice to be able to toot your own horn and say, oh, I'm the only one out there. But at a certain point, I want what I'm doing to be normal.
Right, exactly. If it's a good idea, then it needs to be able to be reproduced and expanded and used otherwise.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Do you find an interest among the business community in pursuing this?
Oh yeah, people are very fascinated by what we're doing. There's at first a little bit of skepticism, because people are like, is that practical to run a business like this, you know, completely off the grid? I don't know that I would recommend being off grid to everyone. I chose it as a particular challenge because it allows me to have confidence that the product that I'm selling really is 100% made with solar. But for most businesses, if you yourself came to me and said, hey, what can I do to use solar in your house? I'd recommend that you were grid tied, which is, grid tied is what most people are familiar with solar. You put the panels in your house, but you're still connected to the grid, and it helps you save on your electric bill. And that is good for the environment, because you're using less electricity from coal, and if you put enough panels in your house, you're using 100% of your energy. If you put even more than that, you're actually selling. So for most people, I would recommend that, because it's a lot easier of a route to go. We chose to go the challenging route, and anytime you choose to do something that's more challenging, you tend to find creative ways to solve the problems, and that's what I've done. Is we've found a lot of opportunity and a lot of things that can be improved.
A lot of discussion about the interaction that you have to have with the local utility, the people who sell the electricity. Some of them are not all that swift on your being able to get the electricity from someplace else more cheaply. Did you encounter difficulties in getting agreement with your local electric supplier in terms of how this would work?
Now, that's one thing about being off the grid that I like is I didn't have to do anything.
Okay.
I just installed panels, put my batteries in, and started running. I could do this in the middle of nowhere. I could be in a desert. I could be on a boat. Right. I could literally take this idea anywhere that you have sunlight, and I don't need permission. I don't need approval. You basically are acting as your own power supply.
Now you do have an electric system. You do have supply from the grid coming to your office.
It was installed when we moved in, yeah, and we still have a few things like the office computer and a couple lights that are still on the grid. Right. But all of our manufacturing setup and everything that adds value to the product, the vast majority of our operations is on our system. So it's basically two separate systems, and they don't interact. They don't talk to each other. One was there before I moved in, and one we installed ourselves.
If as a homeowner, though, I install a system on my home that doesn't totally replace my supplier, there is an issue about whether or not, for example, they're going to buy the electricity from me, right?
That is an ongoing debate, and it's I think it's called the feed-in tariff, and that's basically when you buy electricity from the utility, you pay, I think the general average is like 11.7 cents, let's say 12 cents a kilowatt hour. Mm-hmm. So you pay them 12 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity. But then if you have extra energy and you sell it back to them, they don't pay you that much. They'll pay you 6 or 7 cents, or even less in some areas. So you don't get paid as much as you get charged for the energy that is either generated or used. One of the best ways that you can go around that is by choosing to use that energy when you're making it, and that way you're not having to sell the excess back at a loss or at a reduced rate.
Now you solved this problem in part with your battery system.
Yeah.
But that's a big investment, is it not? Substantial number of batteries or not?
I'm using the same batteries you found in a golf cart.
Oh, no kidding. How many of them?
I have 8.
8, okay.
It's not a huge amount.
Okay.
Numbers-wise, it is 10 kilowatt hours of energy in the battery bank, although 80% of that is really usable, so you have about 8 kilowatt hours that you can use. And I can run my machinery off of that for about 8 hours, because my machine's about a 1,000-watt machine.
Yeah.
So it gives me one full day of runtime with, say it was just pitch black, no sun at all. But if it's a partly cloudy day, I could run half off the sun, half off my batteries for 2 days. Or any combination or mix therein. Sure. But the battery technology, people are waiting for a big breakthrough in battery technologies, and I'd like to say stop waiting, because we've been using lead batteries for over 100 years, and they work great. Right. And when you hear lead, we had this huge water issue in Flint, and you hear lead and you think lead's bad. Right. Lead is bad when it's in the wrong place, but lead is perfectly fine when it's in the right place. Lead batteries are actually the #1 most recycled material in the world. Everything about a lead acid battery is recyclable. You can recover the plastic case, you can recover the electrolyte, and you can fully recover all the lead that's in it, melt it down, and you can make a brand new battery. Right. You don't lose anything. Where the big need for improvement in battery technology is now is mobile applications like cars and electric vehicles, where you want it to be lighter and have greater density. And that's why everyone's working on lithium batteries. And we use lithium batteries in our cell phones because you wouldn't want a giant lead battery in your cell phone. But for a stationary application like your house or my business, a lead acid battery is the way to go. It's cheap, it's reliable, it's proven technology, and it's very environmentally friendly and easy to recycle.
What do we have to do differently in public policy to promote efforts like yours?
I think some of the timelines that we have for moving towards more renewables, I was in a discussion earlier this year at the Virginia State Capitol, and some of the timelines for transitioning were 30, 40, the year 2030, the year 2040 was some of the timelines and the goals. Right. And I think that is not aggressive enough. I think we should have higher targets to move there faster, and it's going to require a mix of wind and solar and hydro. And we're still going to be using some oil and coal. I'm actually not that opposed to nuclear. I think nuclear is less immediate risk to the environment than continuing to emit carbon emissions.
Right. Well, new product lines, you got anything coming out soon that we need to know about?
Yeah, actually, there's this really cool machine that we've been working on for the past year. It's a solar furnace, and it's using a giant magnifying glass where we're concentrating sunlight. And instead of running electric motors and spinning wheels and turning bits, we're actually concentrating the sunlight directly down into a point, and we can actually use it for anything from cooking all the way up to melting metals.
Wow.
And we actually are working on a small line of gift items and personal accessories that are made out of cast metal that are done completely off the grid and very low tech in a way. You know, we're not talking about, you know, lasers and 3D printers and CNC machines. We're just talking about concentrating a beam of light down and using that to make a consumer product.
Bert, we're going to have to leave it there. We'll talk to you about that solar furnace next time, but congratulations on the efforts you have underway already. Want an interesting new product to give as a gift? Go to Amazon and look for Solar Mill, or go to solarmill.com and look for an interesting gift that you can make that's made with the sun's power. Quite an interesting concept, and we're glad to see it getting started in our industry in Virginia. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Good night, everyone.